Alright guys and girls, this is Bagofsoup and welcome to part 2 of our series on how to make a budget hangar. With all the expensive dash bots and inquisitors out there, this is a way to go for newer players or players that don't have time to make an expensive hangar. In part 1 of the series we did just silver bots and weapons, silver paid bots and weapons, but now we're assuming players a little farther along and can afford silver and workshop bots and weapons. So we'll be highlighting a combination of silver and workshop bots and weapons. Of course, the workshop bots could be the stalker, the carnage, the rhino, the fujin, and the rhino, kind of all animal themed bots. And the biggest strength with the workshop bots is that they have more speed and stealth or shield ability. Of course, the workshop weapons would be the plasma magnum and taran, or the Hydra homing missiles, or the trident, the heavy, basically tulumbas, and the trebuchet long-range energy sniper weapon. So we've got a lot of different ideas, and this is one that a lot of people don't think of, but the molots have gotten the buff recently. They've been a new great option for mid to long-range support using the molots, and the rhino actually makes a great a platform for this. We tried last week with an all-silver hangar to use the griffin molots, which is very good, and it's got the defensive jump to get in and out of range or danger, but you're still vulnerable to snipers trying to hit you from a far distance with geckos and trebuchets and things, and the rhino shield makes a huge difference. Back at this 600 to 800 meter range, that's all you have to worry about hitting you is maybe a nashorn or a trebuchet or a gecko, and the rhino shield you can put up whenever needed and block fire and then lower it to use all your weapons. Of course, the rhino does have some special abilities. It's got the speed to get to a target and the shield to protect you, but then some of the weaknesses, of course, is it's hard to turn when in rush mode, and you can't fire your two medium weapons when your shield is up, so 2/3 of your weapons basically aren't working. But if you get really good at piloting the rhino, this is definitely a cheaper alternative to some of the gold bots or higher if you want speed and shield. Say like a Galahad. This would be a cheaper option, and as you can see, I'm doing pretty great with the molots here. My favorite molot setup would probably be the lance with the tempest, because it also has the physical shields at all times, the speed boost, and it can fire with the shield position always. But you're talking about 5,000 gold for a Lancelot, and trying to get the tempest, which right now is very expensive. So in this case, you can get the molots for silver and put them on a griffin, or you can put them on a rhino to get that extra speed to get in and out of the situation and to raise the shield when needed. So I'm starting to see a few more rhino molot setups. It's starting to catch on recently. And of course, the molot's got the accelerated mode, 50% more fire after a few seconds. It's got the physical damage to physical shields as well, and it's got a damage buff. And once again, you can see if we've got Zeus weapons being fired at us, we can try and stay out of that 600 range or raise up our shield to block the Zeus every 5 seconds and then fire when the Zeus is recharging. So this is just a great option on the bigger, longer range maps to keep your opponents back out of your range. It's pretty great against Ancelots. You can take down the Ancelot shield and still have some molot firepower left to take out the health bar. So we did really good there with the rhino. Took out a fair number of guys at center beacon and down the straight line here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into another rhino, and of course some of the popular setups on the rhino are going to be the Orkin and Pinatas, close range rockets. Of course the Orkins cost gold, or you can get a plasma death button, which is the tarans and magnums here. This is all workshop guns and bot, or you can do a mix, the Orkins and magnums mixed together, but once again Orkins cost gold. So this is definitely a viable option. The Tarans and Magnums go through energy shields. They just are blocked by physical shields, but you can get around that by hitting targets from the side if they have a physical shield, or waiting for them to drop their shield. If you get lucky, you can even knock down their shield with enough fire. But one great tip is to put your shield up when you're facing plasma weapons. You can charge at your opponent and use your 2 light guns. And when they're not targeting you or they're reloading, you can drop your shield and hit them with all your guns. And of course, all these guys are focused on center beacon right here. And I'm able to take out almost 3 or 4 different bots in a row with minimal damage with the plasma rhino. So it's definitely a neat setup. Definitely more popular on the griffin because of the jump, the defensive or offensive jump. But if you can get on the right map in the right situation where there's not a lot of rockets around, you can really take out some guys pretty quickly because the tarans and magnums have less reload time than the orkans and pinatas. So we did really good with the plasma death button rhino here. And definitely a awesome setup. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you get workshop points is to use them to get tarans and magnums for your griffin or your rhino, either way, and start to put those into place. And you can take them off one or the other and put them on whatever you prefer. But yeah, the rhino did really good for us there. So the rhino has gotten that buff recently. It's a lot faster now, and we're seeing a lot more of them out there because of all the mid to long range energy snipers. That shield is great, and you can get to beacons pretty quick. Of course, now we've jumped into our other plasma death button, griffin here. And the griffin is great because of all the rockets out there. You can jump in and out of danger. And here you got the same firepower as a rhino. Now the rhino costs 15,000 workshop points, so if you're just starting out in workshop points, the first thing you could do is just get the tarans and magnums for your griffin. You can switch some of your griffins over to that, and then later as you accumulate more workshop points, then you can start to say, okay, now I'd like to add a rhino in because I can use it to get to beacons or use it for the physical shield. Just a few options, but you're always going to want to have some tarans and magnums in your lineup. They're just really good. I don't necessarily use the Plasma Griffin super great in this situation, but in most of the maps in battles I was playing all week, this was probably my strongest bot. If you're going to mix silver and workshop together, the Plasma Griffin is definitely a bot you can take all the way to championship level. It's even good to take out other dash bots with the plasma weapons and the jump. So the rhino's a fun bot. The Griffin plasma is strong. Now we're checking out the fujin. The fujin has really made a comeback the past few months because once again, all the rockets out there, the fujin has the Ansel shield that's very strong and regenerates pretty quick, so it's great against rockets. It also got a speed buff, so it actually moves just 1 kilometer an hour slower than the Haichi Dashbot Mark II. It just doesn't have the dash ability. But it's definitely a great bot, and it's been seeing a lot more play with all the rockets lately. The tulumbas is a great setup because you're staying back at further range, and it gives you time to put up that Ansel shield if you see rockets coming your direction. So a lot of people like the Russian Death Button Griffin with pins and tulumbas. We tried that last week with an all-silver Hangar. And the jump is great, but this would be another option, is you can put those same tulumbas onto your fujin and be able to deflect mid-range rockets coming back your way. So while the Russian Death Button Griffin is cheaper and has the jump to jump out of cover and shoot and then hide again, I think the fujin one-on-one is a little better and can last a little longer sometimes than the RDB Griffin, depending on if you like the jump better or the Ansel shield. Just always be watching for rockets coming your way. Like around this corner to the left, I've got to assume there's some rocket guys. The second I get in range to shoot them, I need to put that shield up, start to deflect their fire, and take them out as they're trying to hit me. So just always have your finger near the shield ability and have it ready to go just when the case is needed. Now I'm getting shot from the left, unfortunately, by a plasma guy. That's one of the weaknesses of the fujin, is you have to be still to have your shield up and regenerating, and you're vulnerable to plasma. Speaking of energy shields, we've got the Carnage running in. The Carnage is great because of its fast speed, and energy shield is always on. You don't have to stop and turn it on like a fujin. It's automatically on and regenerating. It's just not as strong or regenerating as fast as the fujin shield. But the carnage is great. It's just doesn't have a lot of hit points, and of course it's very vulnerable to enemy snipers that see your Ansel shield bar. They know what you are, or plasma weapons like tarans and magnums. The carnage is great with thunders up close, of course, but also if you can afford it with gold, the Zeus's are great. You can do the tridents, you can do the tempest, the new ember flamethrowers. Lots of options there. But on a close range map, that Carnage Thunders is deadly. Well, that was a close match, considering we were facing 5 guys from the squad there, some high level guys, and just running our silver and workshop only setups. We did pretty great there. We're taking a look at some of the guys we were facing. Kind of a mix of champions and experts there. And you know, 3 champs and 3 experts there, and we still did pretty good, and it came down to the end there. So we got top damage, did pretty good on beacons and kills as well. That was with a silver and workshop hangar, so not too bad. Now we're jumping into Springfield. Our last match there was a domination mode, but now for fun we're going to test out the same, some of the same hangar there, but in beacon rush mode. Now, because there's so many workshop and silver options, once you combine the two, in between matches, I have taken off some of the setups and moved them around to try and show you as many setups as possible. You'll also notice that Stalker there ahead of us. I did play with a Stalker during the week. He is fast to get to beacons and has the stealth mode, which is great, but honestly, I just don't put him in my hangar because right now, I feel like damage is more important than getting wins or beacons for league points. So the Stalker will help you get, you know, beacons possibly for wins, but it doesn't do a lot of damage and may not help you get league points to climb up the league ladder. So that is an issue. In this case, the Rhino is just a little slower than the Stalker, but has a ton more firepower, 2/3 more firepower. So we took our plasma and molots off the Rhino, and we put on the Russian death button setup that a griffin would normally carry, the tulumbas and pins. Definitely better on a griffin because the griffin has the jump, but it's pretty fun on a Rhino and surprisingly neat. As long as you stay out of the range of other rockets, you're doing pretty good, and you still have that shield to protect you against plasma and long-range energy snipers. So you just got to be aware of your surroundings. If you see a rocket guy coming your way, you can always turn to the side, put your charge mode on, and get out of there quick. Because unlike a griffin, you can't jump away. But the pins and tulumbas have huge splash damage range. So oftentimes you can hit targets around the corner before they can even get in view to target you. This setup right here can do up to 60,000 damage in one full volley. So he can dish out quite a bit of damage if needed and stay back out of range as well. So it's been a pretty fun setup. It was quite effective on a big number of maps. Obviously the Griffin will be the cheapest option and the better option. But if you're dealing with snipers, like in this case right here, you can use that shield, put it up and charge in on those snipers, fire your light guns, your pins, and then when you get the moment, drop your shields and then fire your tulumbas, and that's definitely a great option here. And we got to use it to pretty good effect on this map here. But I had a lot of fun with this setup, and it's just another variation on the Rhino and the Griffin. Both have a lot of different setups you can use. So we're going to jump back in. We are in beacon rush mode. We had captured one of the home beacons for the opposite team here, and I've jumped back into the plasma death button Rhino. We used it last match, but honestly this is just a really great setup. If you're running just silver and workshop and you're not running plasma on a griffin, it's really good on a Rhino. It does huge damage, and you saw how great we used it last match. Now here we're dealing on an open map with some Zeus snipers out that way, and there's not much we can do. We got a molot guy as well trying to take us down, and he can eat through our physical shield, so we're kind of just having to wait and look around the corner and see who comes into our range before we fire. But yeah, that's one of the dangers on open maps, is the snipers. Now at least with the Rhino, you can charge at them with your shield. You can't do that on a Griffin, so there is a benefit here for the Rhino. And as you're about to notice though, one of the weaknesses is if any one of the rockets gets in range, you have to fire as fast as you can, and they're eventually going to take you down. So I think the Griffin and the Rhino both have advantages and disadvantages there. We're jumping into a Leo, which we tried out last week with an all-silver setup, Thunders and Pinatas. It's kind of like a poor man's Lancelot. You know, it's not 5,000 gold, but it's got about the same kind of firepower and speed. It doesn't have the shield, but it does have more hit points, so it kind of equals out in a lot of ways. And you can run a variety of setups. Now that we've got Workshop and Silver Hangar here, I'm able to put some magnums on there that never have to reload, which is great. And of course the Thunder can knock down shields for fun anyway. If you could afford the gold, having an Ansel on top would protect you from rockets pretty well, and you'd still be firing your magnums. But since the Leo doesn't have a shield, one of the best things you can do is just stay near or behind blue teammates, and you can fire at will while the red team is targeting your blue teammates. So just stay near other guys to support you. Stay behind their shields for cover, and you'd be amazed how much damage the Leo can do. So if you want a Lancelot and you can't afford it yet, go ahead and grab a Leo, pretty cheap to get, and you can put a lot of setups on there for close range. Later on, you can also do some good long range setups as well. With Workshop points, you could do a Trident with 3 CRVs. And then also you could do spirals on there. Later you can do a Zeus or Trebuchet with geckos that cost gold, but lots of options with the Leo. And finally, of course, we're getting back into our Carnage, and once again he's great on close range maps with the Thunders. Dead City, Moon, Power Plant, he's fantastic. I did great with him this week with the close range maps, but I didn't have videos that really highlighted all the bots well. These videos I'm showing you just had a better mix of each bot doing pretty well. But on an open map like this, if you're using Thunders, you're just going to have to kind of use cover, move from place to place to try to get in close to do more damage with those close-up Thunders there. I think this guy back here, he's fallen asleep or disconnected and dropped out of the match. We're just taking out his bot to get that off the screen, because this is still a close match, so that's just one less guy to worry about later. And we're vulnerable in our Carnage to plasma weapons, so we're watching this Lancelot come at us, and once again, stay behind an enemy, stay behind a blue teammate, use him for cover, and then try to get in close, use your rush to do extra damage with those Thunders and take the guy out there. But yeah, this guy's definitely vulnerable on open maps. That's just the case. But bring him out on close range maps, and he will do huge damage really, really quick. So last match, we tried the Fujin with the Tulumbas, and that was a really great mid-range setup. 3 Orkans is fantastic close range, but that costs gold, obviously. 3 Tarans is really good also. A lot of people wouldn't think to do them on the Fujin because, you don't have a jump like a Griffin to get away or a physical shield. So you're kind of stuck if you're facing a Lancelot or a Galahad or something up close. But it does so much damage with the Tarans that you can really take out guys pretty quickly. Plus we see all the Griffins and Dashbot Mark IIs out there right now, and Carnages and unshielded or Ansel shielded bots. Even hitting this Lancelot from the side, you can just see how much damage we're doing. We're doing the same damage that a Dashbot Mark II and III would do, or a Griffin and a Rhino, plus we have that shield that comes in handy here and can take out some of these other guys all in one set of Taran volleys. So that was pretty good. So that was just a fun Beacon Rush match on Springfield. As you'll notice, the other team was missing a man. They were man down, but our bottom 2 guys did about the same as their 4th place guy, so it kind of equaled out in the end there. We're looking at the top red guy. He did pretty good, over 1 million damage. We're going to take a look at his hangar and see what he was running. He's Champion League. This is, what you're going to be facing out there at higher levels. A lot of gold weapons. He's got 2 Dashbots, 2 Lancelots, an Ansel, Orkans everywhere, Tarans. He's got what you call a full gold hangar. Treb and geckos on the Leo. 700,000 damage average, so those are some tough bots. But if you can tell, I did pretty good there with just silver and Workshop bots and guns only. Didn't have lances, didn't have dash bots, didn't have Orkans, geckos, Zeuses, trebuchet, or anything like that. We did exceptionally well in that match. We didn't get beacons just because that stalker went ahead of us and got the beacons there. And then with Beacon Rush, we just kept coming out of the same beacon. But you can see we're doing pretty well with just our silver and workshop paid bots and the silver and workshop paid guns. So there's a lot of combinations. I tried to leave them on the screen so you can see some different options. I hope you enjoyed that look at a budget hangar. Not just silver, but workshop as well. I'd love to hear your comments. What do you like to run with workshop bots and silver bots and guns? And I hope you like the video. Please click like. And if you're not a subscriber yet to the channel, join us. That's it. This is Bagofsoup. Stay tuned for part 3. We'll have silver, workshop, and gold bots and weapons in our hangar. Hope you have a great War Robots day.